Hello, this video brought to you by Sankran. Visualforce Beyond Basics. Static resource is not the only one space to store your resources for Visualforce projects. Normally, developers or admins used to store the resources like images, labels, icons, loaders, JavaScript files, and CSS files in static resources. So that's very common practice. But I'm going to share some best practices and alternatives to static resources. So let's see what are the different areas. Let's start with static resource. Like I said already, we could store some static resources which doesn't change over time, and it should normally people used to store as and when new projects they're working on, and they really don't care about previous resources, existing resources. That's a very bad practice. One good practice is maintaining a repository of static resources, like what's the content, so that when you start a new project, you can use the existing resources if there's anything available rather than creating new one. The most familiar example I could give is jQuery library. I've seen people use this in most of the features, and whenever they use the feature, they simply upload a new package, which is completely irrelevant. Like normally they will have some the jQuery library in some of their previous projects, so they could easily reuse it. The same goes for loader images, which could be shared, and even the icons definitely it could be shared, and commonly CSS files. I've seen a lot of times see people rewriting CSS styling over and over again for different projects. Again, this is a very bad practice. You could easily have a common .css file defining some classes, putting in a common place, and you could easily reuse it. I use it all the time. I have the same goes for JavaScript file as well. And there's one more tip for maintenance. Rather than creating a static resource per project or per feature, it's best to create static resources per resource type. For example, for JavaScript, you could store all jQuery, Bootstrap, sorry, yeah, Bootstrap as well as the Angular or some framework libraries inside it. For CSS, Bootstrap, and your custom CSS files. Like if you store like that, it could be easily maintainable and you could share among your projects. So that's one of the tip I used to follow. And again, static resources is not completely unlimited. You have a storage limitation and you have storage limitation per resource. So it's better to use it very efficiently. And then comes nodes and attachments. There are you could store different types of notes and attachments basically, like a document, CSV file, PDF, like that, and images, videos as well. But you should use this space only if the resources is relevant to a specific object. I mean, standard object or custom object. Otherwise, this is not the best place. In my example, I can give like that we used to store some documents and images for each accounts. So definitely, even though those files and attachments files and images won't change over time, it's not the best place to store in a static resource. It should be stored under notes and attachments for that specific account, so that we could use that in Visualforce. Uh, and when the accounts get modified or account uploads new image, it reflects automatically in the Visualforce page. So that's the best place. And user has the control, whoever works on the account. So as a developer or admin, we don't need to maintain that. That's one good place. And the document is the area where is shared between users and admin, and as well as developer. So this space should be used when the resource is not attached to any standard or custom object. And this the the biggest advantage is shared among everyone. So you should really use this if you want to only if you want to give the power to admin and users. Uh, so The third type is chatter files. This is the type of storage which is used when chatter users upload the resources in the chat box. Uh, Again, this is very volatile. People could delete the post, or admin could delete and even change the post content. So really, when we develop some Visualforce page based on that, we should take care of that. It's not like static resources which will be there always. You can't really trust these type of resources. And the last but not least, the type is hosted external resources. Again, this is one of the best method I've seen these days. It may not be back few years, but now this may be the best idea. We no need to store stat images, JavaScript libraries, and CSS files, even some documents inside our static resources or even inside Salesforce. It could be stored outside your system. Uh, for example, let's take each one by one, like JavaScript. You could use the jQuery, Angular from their own website. It's normally called the CDN, Content Delivery Network. You could store that and use that. It's reliable. It's reliable these days. So normally I would do that, and Google has hosted all these famous resources in their website. It's called Google hosted resources. You could always leverage that. And for images, again, GitHub has a reliable resource. Flickr, you can link to Google Images. Again, those are all very reliable. And for CSS, again, Google hosted resources, Bootstrap, w3.css. These services provide a CDN which will be very quick, which offers caching mechanism, and which is reliable as well. And for documents, you can use Google Docs, which offers like a variety of file formats like docs, sheets, forms like that. You could link it and have a good feature enabled in your application. And just for illustration, what I have done is I've given the link for the images from three possible resource ways. One is static resource, one is notes and attachments, one is document. You could see that the output is very similar, but the resources are stored in different locations. Depends on your use case. You can use one type of resources for your projects. Don't forget to like this video and provide your comments or feedbacks below. If you like this video and want to share with friends, please share them, and if you want to notify about my future videos, please subscribe below. Thank you.